Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to my channel, Do Ministry Gaming, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a bit of an Atlas passive review on the VALDO'S Rest region and talk about what each one of the nodes do and what some of the common strategies are in terms of pairings or farming strategies related to each of these nodes. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I've actually gotten a number of requests from a lot of different people to do Atlas Ascendancy reviews for all of the map zones and to talk a little bit about what some of the strategies are for each of the map zones. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos to go through each of the map zones. Okay, I'm gonna break them down into one zone per video because the video is going to be far too long if I did all of them together. And this is a pretty detailed review as well, especially when I'm talking about the strategies. And so originally, I actually thought I would be able to do 2 zones per video and do 4 videos. But as it turns out, after even just doing VALDO'S Rest, I think I'm going to have to do 1 zone per video. The VALDO'S Rest video is already going to be 20 minutes because there's so much to talk about in terms of specific strategies and how to pair them with watchstones and map modifiers and scarabs and master missions and what have you. And so that's what I'll be doing in the next sort of series of videos. Now, one thing I'll say is, I'll talk about some common strategies, what the meta is right now, as far as I know, seeing within the community in 3.14. But there's a few things to know, right? The first is there's basically an infinite number of different strategies out there for some of this stuff because of the different pairings that you can make. There's a lot of strategies that people are deploying successfully that I'm not aware of. Okay, and so this is not the be all and end all. This is just sort of some of the stuff that I have been seeing myself in terms of very solid strategies that are working for people, solid strategies that have been working for myself and what I prefer. And so, I'll do my best to represent the nodes in the best way possible, but know that, there are alternate strategies out there. And also, depending on the time, right? Time in the league, different leagues, these metas, it can change, especially if GGG starts to change some of these nodes as they have already in 3.14. And so keep all that in mind and take a lot of this with a grain of salt. But I do have some very good information on some very common strategies that people run and the ones that I do run. And so stay tuned for those. It's very detailed and I will jump right into it and I'll talk about Diplomatic Escort. Okay, so this 4 passives over here at the bottom, these blue ones, are all related to Harbingers and amplifying the Harbingers within the area. And this Diplomatic Escort was very popular in 3.13 and very strong, so strong that GGG had to nerf it. And in 3.14, it is still proving to be very strong. It's very popular right now. Crouching Tuna has shown that if you take it to the extreme investment levels, it is massively profitable. And then there's a lot of other content creators too who have been showing that at low investment levels, this is still a very good strategy. But basically the strategy here is you're going to run Diplomatic Escort, which gives you Harbingers have a 30% chance to be replaced by a powerful Harbinger boss. Okay, so every Harbinger in the map has 30% chance to be replaced by this Harbinger boss. And what a Harbinger boss is, if you've ever done the Breachhead map, is the boss at the end where there's like sort of the boss dude and he summons a bunch of mini Harbinger guys. That's what this guy is. And every Harbinger in the map has a 30% chance to become one of these powerful bosses. So it is extremely powerful. And one of the reasons is because there's no cap on this, okay? You can have multiple Harbinger bosses in a map. I've run maps where I've had 2 or 3. And so if you get lucky, you can have multiple Harbinger bosses. So very powerful. GGG probably should have put a cap on it as to 1 per map or reduce the chance, but here it is in 3.14, and that is how, generally speaking, the strategy is for VALDO'S Rest that a lot of people have been running. And so you would get this, you would basically put as many Harbingers into the map as you can. And so the ways to do that is you can, in the map device in 3.14, there is a Harbinger mod for 4 chaos right here. Areas can contain 2 additional Harbingers, okay? Then there is a Rusted, or I run Rusted, but there are Harbinger Scarabs. Rusted gives you another 2 additional Harbingers. Polished gives 3. I think Gilded gives 4 maybe, and Winged might even give 7. These are very expensive this league because of this particular strategy, but you can juice up more Harbingers that way. So again, the name of the game is get as many Harbingers as you can, and then have those Harbingers drop as many valuable currency shards as I can. So the other part of this strategy is comboing them with particular watchstones, and these watchstones are here. One of which is the auspicious VALDO'S Rest watchstone. I made a video talking about the value of this watchstone. It's a very expensive watchstone, so check that video out for some more information on this watchstone, whether it's worth it to spend the current 7 to 8x on this watchstone. But anyway, this watchstone gives Harbingers and areas drop rare value currency shards, and so all those King Harbingers and Harbinger bosses now drop more valuable currency shards. Valuable currency shards being Exalted Shards, Ancient Shards, and even sometimes Mirror Shards. And in my other video, and I'll put the link in the description below, is that this watchstone does drastically increase the number of Exalted Shards and Ancient Shards that you see, which are very valuable. And I have concluded that if you run a certain number of maps, it is actually a profitable watchstone to purchase. Now, other watchstones that you would combo with this would be something like this. Typically, Layden's VALDO'S Rest watchstone, which gives you a % chance to drop additional stack of currency shards. There's also another one that gives you a % chance to spawn an additional Harbinger. So you can get either one of those, but the point is, stacking this node with as many Harbingers as possible to drop as many currency shards as possible, and if possible, get the auspicious watchstone for the rarer value currency shards. All right, so that's strategy around Diplomatic Escort, and to get there, you're also getting Ominous Arrival, which is areas containing additional Harbinger. I'll do at the end, I'll talk through all these, and then at the end, I will talk about which ones I prefer to run, but this is one that would be on the list. Next, I'll talk about the Immortal Syndicate nodes. There's 4, 2 small ones and 2 big ones in this zone related to Betrayal, the league mechanic. And so the first here is a test of loyalty. There's 2 points to get to. Immortal Syndicate members executed in areas have 100% chance to gain additional rank. This is pretty straightforward. When you get plus rank to your Syndicate members, you have a chance to gain an additional rank. So you can actually get a rank 1 guy all the way up to rank 3 in one rank up. So this node is quite powerful. I do like it personally quite a bit, especially in 3.14. Syndicate has been a fairly strong league mechanic. And more importantly, Catarina, which is the Mastermind, has been a very profitable mechanic as well. And so this test of loyalty allows you to get your members up to rank 3 faster so that you can reap better rewards from both the Safehouses and the Catarinas if you're trying to speedrun them especially. Now the next node, which combos with it very well, is Gut Instinct. Immortal Syndicate members grant 5 intelligence for the current Safehouse if not interrogated. So if you're not familiar, interrogation is the one where you put the guy in a penalty box for 3 rounds and he gains you experience. And otherwise, the other options don't really give you experience towards the Safehouse. So it's kind of a trade-off. Usually you have to either pick interrogation and get experience on the Safehouse, or you have to pick the option that gives you something good, like leveling up your member. Now, this Gut Instinct is extremely good, in my opinion, because it allows you to take the value option as well as progress your Safehouse at the same time. That's a huge a value add because you don't actually have to trade off anymore. You don't have to sacrifice anything to progress your Safehouse. It just happens. And also, this is a lot of intelligence, 5 intelligence for each member. Okay, so you see a lot of members in a map, and so this can get you, 20, 30 intelligence towards your Safehouses spread over the different Safehouses, but still, overall it advances your Safehouses and Catarina very quickly with this Gut Instinct. And so between the two of these, you can very quickly churn out multiple Masterminds very quickly in this zone with high-level members, by having the intelligence go up really quickly for the Safehouses. On top of that, you're ranking up your guys very quickly. And sometimes, if you have the level 1 guy, you can get 2 ranks with the test of loyalty on top of getting intelligence out of Safehouse. So that's super, super valuable. I'm loving these nodes right now in 3.14. I've grinded out a lot of Catarina, and it's been super profitable. And also, guys, what you would do is you'd pair this with the June Master Mission. Okay, so you would pop these two nodes on, and you would basically just run Master Missions, June Master Missions in VALDO'S Rest. I would not recommend running these in anywhere else. Maybe in Haywark's Hamlet, which is another video which has the Syndicate um, ascendancies. But the point is, you want to combo your master missions with your Atlas ascendancies, okay? Don't use your master missions in zones that don't have a combination with them, okay? And so I have another video too, and I'll also link, where I talk about very basic and common Atlas ascendancy and master mission pairings. And so that's been working out very well. In terms of the Watchstones, I don't personally have been running anything in particular. This alone has already been very strong in churning out the Mastermind, but of course you can always combo it with some other Watchstone modifiers as well. All right, next is the Blight stuff. So there's 6 nodes related to Blight encounters. And so the first is Outbreak, 10% chance to gain an additional Blight encounter in your map. Blight itself is a rather profitable mechanic as well, especially when you combo with this particular node. Okay, I would highly recommend, if you're going to get Outbreak and go for a Blight strategy, definitely get Mass Mycelium. Okay, Mass Mycelium is very good. It really amplifies the Blight mechanic. Okay, what it does is Blight encounters areas have more likely to contain multiple lanes, so you're getting more monsters, more rewards. On top of that, lanes of Blight encounters have 50% chance for an additional reward chest. So you're getting more lanes and then more chests. Okay, so this is like a more multiplier to your Blight encounters, if you will. And so it's very multiplicative and it works very well. I would, again, highly recommend doing this if you're running Blight here. And Blight has been very good. You can drop Blighted Mass, which are selling for a lot in 3.14. Blight has been a very profitable mechanic to farm. And so if you're running this region, and let's say you're not running the Syndicate stuff because maybe you're out of Master Missions or you just don't like Syndicate, maybe the combo is run Diplomatic Escort along with Blight, which is common. And that is a very good strategy there. And then finally, there's Blight Titans, which gives Blight bosses and areas drop an additional anointed jewelry item, and Blight encounters contain additional Blight bosses. I personally don't necessarily target this one that much or focus on this one. You know, I think it's maybe a little weaker, especially compared to like Mass Mycelium, or maybe even some of these other nodes involved with Rest. But you know, this anointed jewelry, yeah, it gets more anointed jewelry, but the jewelry has to be good, and the anointment has to be good, and they kind of have to pair up. And it's not like you can't get anointments otherwise. You can very easily target your own anointment with your own anointment enchant. You know, there's really no need to farm this, you know, if you're farming, you know, anointed jewelries, and then just, you know, getting additional bosses, you know, makes encounters harder as well. So this one is probably a little less. Mass Mycelium is definitely the way you want to go. If anything, if you just have 4 points, grab those. Blight Titans is probably a lower tier than the rest of them here. And then now also, you know, if you're going to do some combinations with Blight, you can also run fragments of Scarabs as well. There is Blight Scarabs. So basically what you would do is you would get those Blight nodes in VALDO'S Rest, and you would pop this Blight Scarab in to force the Blight encounter, right? Because if you don't, you only have that 10% chance to get the Blight encounter from Outbreak. And then whatever the base chance is, I don't really know what the base chance to see a Blight is. Maybe it's like 5% or something, but you know, 5% plus this 10%, you're only seeing 15% of the time. So you could be running multiple maps without seeing a Blight encounter. And if you're doing that and you've invested 6 points into it, that's not a very efficient way to run maps, right? And so if you were going to do that, I would highly recommend at least sticking in a Rusted Blight Scarab every map. So you're guaranteed at least one Blight encounter every map, juiced up with the Mass Mycelium, and then you're getting a lot of rewards, and these chests can drop a lot of Blighted maps as well, which could be a lot of value. So that's what I would recommend if you're running it that way. And so if you were to also focus on the Blight encounters as well, you can also pair them with, again, some Watchstones. There are some Platinum VALDO'S Rest Watchstones that you can craft. And there is a particular mod that I would recommend, which is Exotic. It's a prefix. Blight chests and areas have a % chance to contain Blighted maps or oils. Okay, so up to 20% for a tier 1, and you stack 4 of those, that's 80%, plus Secrets of the Watchstone. Uncharted Realms, node, 25% effect. That can get you up to 100% increased chance to get blighted maps and oils. And at this particular point in 3.14, that is extremely valuable. Blighted maps are selling for 30, 40 chaos sometimes. And oils are still very valuable, right? Those silver, golden oils are still, golden oils I think are still like half an X per or something like that. So seeing more of those is definitely worthwhile. There is another watchstone modifier also that gives you a chance to get duplicate items as well. I would prefer personally the blighted maps and the oils because those are really, quite frankly, the high value items in blight encounters. But you can run either of those alongside this. But make sure, again, you're running the Scarab to force that encounter because otherwise you're only going to see it once every few maps, and that can feel very bad if you're investing 6 points into the strategy. All right, and then finally, there are 6 points related to Metamorphs. The first is 10% chance to contain a Metamorph encounter. So just like the Blight one, it just gives you an increased chance to get Metamorph. Then there's repeated experiment. Repeated experiment, you can assemble an additional Metamorph in areas after the first is dead. Okay, so basically you're getting an additional Metamorph. I've never actually run this node, so I don't know if the parts that you use for the first Metamorph, if you can reuse them. I would imagine you can't, but someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But basically you're getting an additional Metamorph, and maybe the second one is lower power because you can't reuse the parts. But that's what that is. And then there's high yield Metamorph bosses, which drop itemized sample, drop an additional itemized sample being that green thing sample at the end if you've maxed out that bar. And then Metamorph Vant meters in the area require 50% less power to fill. So basically you can fill that bar easier and then you'll get that additional drop at the end. All right, so when it comes to Metamorphs, there is a strategy here. I mean, if you were to focus on it, you could. You're getting, 2 Metamorph encounters, and they're dropping additional itemized samples, right? So now you're getting 4 samples if you've maxed out the bar for both, which then gives you, more Metamorphs that you can fight in Tane's laboratory as well. So you can really farm Metamorphs pretty hard with the strategy. There's also Metamorph fragments as well, and so, scarabs, and so you can spawn an additional Metamorph on top of that. Right, and then also these scarabs, if you're running the right one, also drop an additional sample. So you can see how multiplicative that can be in terms of getting Metamorph on top of Metamorph on top of Metamorph, and then running all those samples in Tane's laboratory as well. And this could be a very viable strategy, especially early on in the league, guys. The catalysts, these things, can sell for quite expensive. Fertile catalysts and prismatic catalysts in particular, at least a few days ago, were selling 10C per, right? And so farming these catalysts early enough in the league is a very viable strategy. And I know a lot of people have made a lot of money farming specifically catalysts. And so this is a very good strategy that you can run, especially because you can target them with scarabs. And so that's what that strategy would be. I think later on in the league, as catalysts become more common and less demand, that strategy might fall off a bit. But there's a lot of other rewards that come with Metamorphs as well. All right, and then finally, there's of course also some watchstones you can pair with this as well. And they are again platinum watchstones, but basically all the rolls on those are related to getting you extra rewards for the Metamorph encounter. So, if you're going hard on this strategy, I would definitely recommend picking up some of those watchstones to combo along with it. All right, so those are all of the nodes in VALDO'S Rest kind of explained, and the strategies around them that are sort of more common, or some of the ones that I would pick up myself. Now, in terms of which ones I personally run, I gotta say, VALDO'S Rest in 3.14 compared to all the other areas is fairly strong. Almost all of these nodes are strong. These are all like tier A, tier S nodes, right? Very few of them are, tier B, tier C. And so there's very, very good stuff in here. And so this has been a very, very good zone, and many people have been farming it. The most popular strategy right now is Diplomatic Escort, and I personally would run this. And then I would personally say I run these 4 points, and then I pick the one of the other ones that I want to farm. And currently, I'm farming Betrayal, Syndicate, Immortal Syndicate because I'm finding it to be very rewarding. I quite like the mechanic. And so these nodes have been very good for me. So I personally like to run those. But when you're out of June missions, though, it does kind of feel a little bad, right? And so what I typically do is I just move off the zone and I go somewhere else when I'm out of June missions. And so, but I do like these points. Some people like Blight a lot. I would say that's sort of the next one I would personally go to if I were to not run Syndicate. I would definitely run Blight. Mass Mycelium is no joke. This is a super powerful node, and Blight encounters can be very, very rewarding, especially Blight maps and oils. So definitely pick that up. And I would say if you're going Blight, at least get to Mass Mycelium. You know, I would personally say Blighted Titans, maybe a little bit optional. And so if it's, you know, maybe a matter of going Diplomatic Escort and Mass Mycelium, that's a very good strategy in its own. And then finally, the last one I would go personally is Metamorph, but I could say a lot of people made some very good currency farming those catalysts through Metamorphs. So definitely a very viable strategy. Like I say, these are still very high tier nodes as well, but there's so much good stuff going on here. And so my personal preference is these. All right, so that's it for the VALDO'S Rest Atlas passives. Like I say, I'll probably be doing one for every map zone in the Atlas. But I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section below as to whether you like these videos, the style, and how I'm doing them, or if there's different things you want to see as I blast through the other 7 videos as well. I'll try to incorporate any comments that I see from this video into those so that I can better help you understand these Atlas passives and maybe how you can combo them into certain strategies. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful. And if you did, please like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Times are in the description below. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.